I was sitting in my office on the 18th floor, looking through the glass windows at the Portland skyline as the evening lights began to flicker on. It was late Tuesday night, and I should have been heading home, but there was something peaceful about staying here, watching the city below. Thanksgiving was just 5 days away, and for the first time in 3 years, I was actually planning to go home to Seattle. I missed my family. I missed the smell of turkey roasting, the sound of football games on TV, the warmth of being around people who knew me before I became Connor Hayes' senior director. Then my phone buzzed on the desk. I saw Mom's name on the screen and smiled, expecting her to ask what dishes I wanted her to make. I opened the message. The smile died on my face. "You are not coming to Thanksgiving. Your sister's husband says you would kill the vibe." I read it twice, 3 times. The words did not change. I sat there in the silence of my empty office, the city lights blurring slightly as I stared at the screen. Before I tell you what happened next, I would love to know where you are watching from. Drop your city in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe. Because this story takes a turn nobody saw coming, especially not him. I read the message again, hoping somehow I had misunderstood. But no, the words were clear. My brother-in-law, Brad Thompson, had decided I was not welcome at Thanksgiving. He told my family I would kill the vibe. I leaned back in my chair, feeling something cold settle in my chest. Brad was 35, married to my older sister Amanda for 2 years now. We had never been close, but we had never fought either. I barely knew the guy. He was a sales manager at some mid-sized company in Seattle. Nice enough at family gatherings. Always talking about deals he was closing, clients he was impressing. I remembered at their wedding he asked me about my work. I told him I did consulting. He seemed interested, said something about how we should work together someday. I smiled politely and forgot about it. That was 2 years ago. Now he was telling my family I would ruin Thanksgiving. I stared at my phone, wondering what I had done. Was I too successful? Too quiet? Did I not laugh at his jokes? The phrase "kill the vibe" kept echoing in my head. What vibe? The vibe of a family gathering where everyone was supposed to feel welcome. I thought about calling Amanda, asking her what was going on. But I stopped myself. I did not want to create drama. I did not want to put Mom or Amanda in an awkward position. If they did not want me there, fine. I would not force myself on anyone. I put my phone face down on the desk and tried to focus on work, but the words kept crawling back into my mind. Let me back up and tell you who I am, because that matters to this story. I grew up in Seattle in a pretty normal middle-class family. Dad was an engineer. Mom taught elementary school. I have one older sister, Amanda, who is 4 years older than me. When we were kids, we were close. She taught me how to ride a bike. I helped her with her math homework. We had that sibling bond you see in old family photos, the kind where you are genuinely happy to be around each other. I did well in school. I was not a genius, just someone who showed up and did the work. I graduated from the University of Washington with a degree in business administration. My GPA was 3.8, nothing flashy, but solid. After college, I got into tech consulting and discovered I was good at it. Really good. I understood how to connect people, how to build partnerships, how to see the bigger picture. 3 years ago, I got an offer from a company called Venture Edge Solutions. They were expanding and needed someone to lead their strategic partnerships in the Pacific Northwest. The job was in Portland. It meant leaving Seattle, leaving my family, starting over in a new city. But the opportunity was too good to pass up. So I took it. I moved to Portland, threw myself into the work, and climbed fast. I am now Senior Director of Strategic Partnerships. I manage a team of 15 people. We handle the big accounts, the multi-million-dollar deals that keep the company growing. My salary is $180,000 a year, not counting bonuses and stock options. But I live simply. I rent a one-bedroom apartment downtown. I drive a 2019 Honda Accord. I do not post about my job on social media. My LinkedIn profile just says Director at Venture Edge Solutions. Nothing flashy. The downside of success was that I barely went home anymore. My job was demanding. There were always projects, always deadlines, always fires to put out. I went home for Christmas sometimes, for Mom's birthday, but I missed a lot of family dinners, a lot of small gatherings. When Amanda got married 2 years ago, I flew back for the wedding. I stayed 2 days, then flew back to Portland. I was there, but I was not really there. My mind was already on the next project. I think my family started to see me as the distant one, the one who was too busy for them. Maybe that is what Brad meant by kill the vibe. Maybe he thought I would show up and be distracted checking my phone, talking about work. Maybe he thought I did not care about family anymore. But that was not true. I cared. I just had responsibilities. I had people depending on me. And honestly, I thought my family understood that. I thought they were proud of me. Now, sitting in my office staring at that message from Mom, I was not so sure. Your sister's husband says you would kill the vibe. The worst part was that Mom did not argue with him. She did not say, "That is ridiculous. Connor is family." She just delivered the message like it was a done deal. I sat there for a long time, the office growing darker around me, the city lights outside getting brighter. Finally, I did the only thing I could do. I turned off my phone, opened my laptop, and went back to work. I worked until 2 in the morning, focusing on the big project that was coming up. We had a deal in the works with a fintech company from Seattle called Apex Financial Group. If we closed this deal, it would be worth $5 million over 3 years. The final presentation was scheduled for Thursday morning, Thanksgiving morning. The client insisted on that date. Their CEO, David Morrison, was only available Thursday morning before flying to the East Coast for his own family gathering. So we agreed. I was leading the negotiation. I had been working with Apex for 4 months, building the relationship, understanding their needs, crafting the perfect proposal. The meeting was set for 9 a.m. at our Portland office. My team would be there: Sarah, our product manager, James, our tech lead, and Linda, our finance analyst. We had prepared everything: slides, case studies, financial projections, technical demos. This was my Thanksgiving. This was what I was doing instead of sitting around a table with family. And honestly, at that moment, it felt like the better option. The next few days were strange. I did not reply to Mom's message. I did not call Amanda. I did not reach out to anyone. I just went silent. On Friday, I saw Amanda post on Instagram about preparing for Thanksgiving. There was a photo of her and Brad at the grocery store, both smiling, his arm around her shoulder. They looked happy. I did not react to the post. I did not comment. I just scrolled past. On Sunday, Mom texted me again. "Hope you are doing okay, sweetheart. We will miss you. We will miss you." Like it was my choice not to come. Like I had decided to skip Thanksgiving on my own. There was no apology. No acknowledgement that maybe it was wrong to uninvite your son from a family holiday because your son-in-law felt threatened. I read the message and did not reply. I put my phone away and tried to focus on anything else. But I could not stop thinking about it. Why would Brad say that? Why would he want me gone? I decided to call my best friend Marcus. We went to college together and he still lived in Seattle. Marcus worked in marketing and knew a lot of people in the Seattle business scene. I called him Monday afternoon. "Marcus, do you know anything about Brad Thompson?" There was a pause. "Why are you asking?" I told him about the Thanksgiving situation. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he sighed. "Connor, I have heard things about Brad. He has a reputation in the networking circles here. He talks a big game, always telling people about his big deals, his big clients. But people in the industry know his company is not that big. He is a decent sales manager, but he is not a major player. I think he is insecure. And honestly, I think he sees you as a threat. That caught me off guard. A threat. How Marcus laughed, but there was no humor in it. Come on, man. You are younger than him. You are more successful. You are still single and independent. You have a director-level position at a major company. Meanwhile, Brad is grinding away at a mid-level sales job, probably feeling like he is not measuring up. When you show up at family events, even if you do not say anything about your work, your success is obvious. People can see it, and Brad cannot handle that. I had never thought about it that way. I did not try to make anyone feel inferior. I barely talked about my job at family gatherings. But maybe that was the problem. Maybe my silence made Brad more paranoid. Maybe he filled in the gaps with his own insecurities. I thanked Marcus for the insight and hung up. I sat in my office looking at my diplomas on the wall, my awards from work, the framed photo of my team after we closed a major deal last year. I had worked so hard to get here. I sacrificed weekends, holidays, relationships. I did it because I wanted to prove to myself that I could build something meaningful. And now somehow that success was being used against me. My own family did not want me around because I made someone uncomfortable. It hurt more than I wanted to admit. On Tuesday, I threw myself into preparing for the Apex meeting. I reviewed every slide, every number, every talking point. Sarah, James, and Linda were ready. We had rehearsed the presentation 3 times. We knew this inside and out. The meeting was scheduled for 9 a.m. Thursday in Conference Room A on the 18th floor. I had the room reserved. The projector tested the materials printed and bound. Everything was perfect. On Tuesday night, I stayed late at the office, going over the attendee list one more time. From Apex, we would have David Morrison, the CEO, Jennifer Park, the CFO, Michael Torres, the VP of Operations, and 2 sales managers, Rachel Kim and someone else. I did not pay much attention to the second sales manager's name. I just skimmed the list, making sure we had enough seats, enough coffee, enough everything. I went home around 10 p.m., set my alarm for 6 a.m., and tried to sleep. But I kept thinking about Thanksgiving. I imagined my family sitting around the table without me. Amanda and Brad hosting Mom, bringing her famous stuffing, everyone laughing and enjoying the holiday. And me alone in Portland working on Thanksgiving morning. Part of me felt pathetic, but another part of me felt something else. Pride, maybe, or defiance. I was not going to let this break me. I was going to show up Thursday morning and do my job at the highest level. I was going to close this deal. And if my family did not appreciate me, fine. The people at Apex would. Wednesday night, I did my final check. I printed extra copies of the presentation. I made sure the coffee order was confirmed for Thursday morning. I sent a reminder email to Sarah, James, and Linda. Everything was set. Before I left the office, I looked at the sign on the conference room door. It read, Conference Room, Adventure Edge, and Apex Financial, 9 a.m. And below that, in smaller letters, there was a nameplate. Connor Hayes, Senior Director of Strategic Partnerships. It was standard for big meetings. My assistant had put it up earlier that week. I did not think much of it at the time. I just nodded, turned off the lights, and went home. I had no idea what Thursday morning would bring. Thursday morning, I woke up at 6 a.m. to a dark Portland sky. Thanksgiving morning. The city was quiet in a way it never was on regular workdays. Everyone was home preparing food, setting tables, spending time with family. Everyone except me. I got out of bed, made coffee, and toasted some bread. I fried 2 eggs, ate slowly, and tried to keep my mind calm. Today was not about family. Today was about work. I put on my best gray suit, a navy blue tie, and polished black shoes. I looked at myself in the mirror. I looked professional, confident, ready. I grabbed my briefcase, got in my car, and drove to the office. The streets were empty. No traffic, no crowds. It felt almost eerie. I parked in the underground garage and took the elevator up to the 18th floor. The office was mostly empty, just a handful of people working on Thanksgiving. I nodded to the security guard at the front desk and walked to conference room A. I opened the door and looked around. The room was spotless. 18 chairs around a long table. A projector screen at the front. Windows overlooking the city. I set my briefcase down, turned on the projector, and loaded up the presentation. I arranged the printed materials at each seat. Everything looked perfect. At 8:15, Sarah, James, and Linda arrived. They were all dressed professionally, carrying laptops and notebooks. "We are ready for this," Sarah said with a smile. I nodded. "I know. Let's make it great." We did a quick run-through of who would say what. Sarah would handle the product features about 15 minutes. James would do a technical demo about 10 minutes. Linda would cover the financial projections another 10 minutes. I would open close and handle questions. We had done this before. We were a well-oiled machine. At 8:45, the receptionist called. "The Apex team is here. They are on their way up." I took a deep breath. This was it. At 8:50, the conference room door opened. David Morrison walked in first. He was about 50, silver hair, expensive black suit. He had the presence of someone who had built companies from the ground up. Behind him came Jennifer Park, the CFO, sharp and serious with short hair and gold-rimmed glasses. Then Michael Torres, the VP of Operations, tall and friendly, with a warm smile. And finally, the two sales managers. The first was Rachel Kim, a woman in her late 30s with a confident stride. And the second person who walked in was someone I recognized immediately. Brad Thompson, my brother-in-law. He was looking down at his phone as he entered, not paying attention to the room. I stood at the head of the table, remote in hand. My nameplate clearly visible on the door behind me. David Morrison reached out to shake my hand. "Good morning, Connor. Thank you for accommodating our schedule on Thanksgiving." I smiled and shook his hand firmly. "Of course, David. We are excited about this partnership." That was when Brad looked up. His eyes met mine. For a split second, everything stopped. His face went completely white. His mouth opened slightly. He looked at me, then at the nameplate on the door behind me. Connor Hayes, Senior Director of Strategic Partnerships. Then he looked at the presentation screen, which had the Venture Edge logo and the title slide Strategic Partnership Proposal for Apex Financial Group, presented by Connor Hayes and team. Brad froze. I could see his mind racing, trying to process what was happening. I kept my expression neutral, professional. I extended my hand to the rest of the Apex team. "Jennifer, Michael, great to see you both again." Then I turned to the sales managers. "Rachel, thank you for joining us." And Brad. Brad was still staring at me. He mechanically shook my hand. His palm was cold and slightly damp. "Connor," he said quietly. I did not say anything else. I just gestured to the seats. "Please, everyone, have a seat. Let's get started." David sat at the head of the table opposite me. Jennifer and Michael sat on either side of him. Rachel and Brad sat further down. Brad chose a seat near the end, as far from me as possible. He kept his eyes down, fidgeting with his pen. Rachel glanced at him with a curious expression, clearly noticing something was off. I stood at the front of the room, clicked the remote, and the first slide appeared. "Good morning, everyone. I am Connor Hayes, Senior Director here at Venture Edge. I have been working closely with your team over the past 4 months, and today we are thrilled to present our comprehensive partnership proposal." My voice was steady confident. I had done this 100 times before. This was my element. I went through the opening slides outlining Venture Edge's vision, our track record, our commitment to innovation. David and Jennifer were nodding, taking notes. Michael asked a clarifying question about our implementation timeline. I answered smoothly, referencing a case study from a similar client. Then Sarah took over, walking through our product features. She was excellent explaining complex concepts in simple terms, showing mock-ups and demos. James followed with the technical deep dive, discussing infrastructure security protocols and scalability. He answered Michael's technical questions with ease. Linda presented the financial models, breaking down costs, ROI timelines, and projected savings. She was precise and thorough. Throughout the entire presentation, Brad sat silent. He did not ask questions. He did not take notes. He just sat there staring at the table, occasionally glancing up at me with an unreadable expression. Rachel, on the other hand, was engaged. She asked smart questions about customer support and account management. Sarah answered her confidently. David Morrison was clearly impressed. "This is really thorough, Connor. You have obviously done your homework on our needs." I smiled. "Thank you, David. We believe this partnership will be transformative for both companies." After about 45 minutes, we wrapped up the formal presentation. I opened the floor for questions. David looked at his team. "Any questions from our side?" Jennifer asked about contract terms. Linda and I answered together, referencing the draft agreement we had sent over last week. Michael asked about implementation phases. I walked him through the timeline phase by phase. Then David turned to Brad. "Brad, you have been quiet. Any concerns from the sales perspective?" Brad jerked slightly, as if he had been caught daydreaming. No. Everything looks solid." David frowned slightly. "You sure this is your area of expertise?" Brad forced a smile. "Yes, I think the proposal covers everything we discussed." But David was not satisfied. "Brad, you are one of our key sales leads. I need your professional input. Do you see any gaps in their client acquisition strategy?" Brad's face turned red. He cleared his throat. I think their approach is comprehensive. The case studies show proven results. I do not have major concerns." I looked at Brad calmly, without any hint of malice or superiority. Just professional courtesy. "Brad, if you think of any questions later, feel free to email me directly. We want to make sure all stakeholders are comfortable before moving forward." Brad nodded quickly, swallowing hard. "Yeah, sure, thanks." The rest of the meeting went smoothly. We discussed next steps, timelines, and legal reviews. At the end, David stood up and shook my hand. "Connor, I think we are ready to move to the contract stage. I will have our legal team reach out next week." I smiled, feeling a surge of satisfaction. "That is fantastic news, David. We are looking forward to working with Apex." Jennifer and Michael also shook my hand, both complimenting the presentation. Rachel came up and said, "Really impressive work, Connor." "Thank you, Rachel. I appreciate that." Finally, Brad approached. He extended his hand reluctantly. I shook it. His hand was still cold and clammy. "Good presentation, Connor," he said quietly. I looked him in the eye, kept my voice calm and kind. "Thank you, Brad. Have a good Thanksgiving." He did not respond. He just turned and walked out quickly, avoiding eye contact with anyone. After the Apex team left, Sarah, James, and Linda let out a collective cheer. "We nailed it," Sarah said, grinning. I smiled, feeling the adrenaline start to fade. "We did. Great job, everyone. Thank you for giving up your Thanksgiving morning." They did not seem to mind. We all knew this was a huge win. As I packed up my materials and turned off the projector, I looked out the window at the city below. The sun was climbing higher now, casting light over Portland. Somewhere in Seattle, my family was probably starting to prepare the turkey. And I was here alone, but not defeated. I had just closed a $5 million deal on Thanksgiving morning. I had proven something to myself, even if my family would never know. That afternoon, I went back to my apartment. I did not cook a big Thanksgiving meal. I did not have the energy or the desire. I ordered a pizza from one of the few places still open, grabbed a beer from the fridge, and sat on my couch. I turned on the TV and found a football game. It felt strange spending Thanksgiving alone like this, but it also felt oddly peaceful. No pressure to perform, no awkward conversations, no walking on eggshells around Brad. Just me, a pizza, and a football game. My phone buzzed. I almost ignored it, but then I saw Brad's name. I opened the message. Connor, I did not know you worked at Venture Edge. I did not know you were the director on this deal. I am sorry about the Thanksgiving thing. That was Amanda's idea, not mine. She thought you were too busy for family stuff anyway. I read the message twice. He was throwing Amanda under the bus, blaming her for something he clearly instigated. The apology was not sincere. It was damage control. Brad was scared that I might sabotage the deal out of spite. He was trying to cover himself. I thought about how to respond. Part of me wanted to call him out to tell him exactly what I thought of his excuse. But another part of me just felt tired. Tired of the pettiness, tired of the insecurity, tired of people who could not just be happy for someone else's success. I typed a short response. Brad, I appreciate the message. Let's keep work and family separate. I will see you around. I hit send and put my phone down. I did not want to think about it anymore. The next morning, Friday, I woke up late. My phone had 3 missed messages. One from Mom Connor. Amanda told me what happened yesterday. I did not know you were in a meeting with Brad's company. Why did you not tell us about your job? We had no idea you were doing so well. I stared at that message for a long time. She did not apologize for uninviting me. She did not acknowledge the hurt. She was just surprised that I had a successful career. Like that was the only thing that mattered. There was another message from Amanda Connor. We need to talk. Call me. And one from Marcus Dude. I heard through the grapevine that you were in a meeting with Apex yesterday and Brad was there. Is that true? That is insane. Call me. I did not call anyone back. I needed time to process everything. I spent the weekend walking along the Willamette River thinking about family, about success, about what really mattered. I realized something important during those walks. Family is not always the safest place. Sometimes the people who are supposed to love you unconditionally are the ones who judge you the most. Sometimes strangers and colleagues treat you with more respect than your own blood. I did not hate Brad. I actually felt sorry for him. He was so insecure, so desperate to prove himself that he could not handle being around someone he perceived as more successful. That must be exhausting living like that. I did not blame Mom or Amanda either. They just did not understand. They did not know the sacrifices I made, the late nights, the stress, the loneliness of moving to a new city and starting over. They saw the title and the salary, but they did not see the cost. And that was okay. I did not need them to understand anymore. I had proven to myself what I was capable of. That was enough. On Monday, I went back to work. There was an email waiting from David Morrison. Connor, our legal team, reviewed the contract. We are ready to sign. Looking forward to a great partnership. The deal was done. $5 million over 3 years. My boss, Richard Lawson, the VP, called me into his office. Connor, I heard from David that the Thanksgiving meeting went perfectly. He was very impressed with you and your team. I appreciate that, Richard. He leaned back in his chair, smiling. You handled a tough situation with a lot of grace. I heard one of their sales managers was your brother-in-law. I nodded. Yeah, it was unexpected. Richard chuckled. Well, you did not let it affect your performance. That is what separates good professionals from great ones. Keep it up. I left his office feeling a sense of pride that had nothing to do with family approval. I had earned this. I had built this career with my own hands, my own choices, my own sacrifices. Nobody could take that away from me. Later that week, I sat in my office looking out at the city thinking about the upcoming holidays. I decided that next Thanksgiving I would do things differently. I would host my own dinner. I would invite Marcus, Sarah, James, Linda, and anyone else who actually valued me for who I was, not what I represented. People who saw me as Connor, not as the younger brother, not as the threat, not as the busy one who did not care, just Connor. That night my phone buzzed. It was Marcus. Dinner this weekend. I want to hear the full story. I smiled and typed back. Absolutely. I will tell you everything. And as I put my phone down, I felt something I had not felt in a long time. Peace. I learned something important that Thanksgiving. Success is not about proving yourself to other people. It is about being proud of who you have become, regardless of whether anyone else notices or cares. Family does not always mean unconditional love. Sometimes there are conditions, judgments, and insecurities that get in the way. And that is okay. You cannot control how other people feel about your success. You can only control how you respond. I chose not to let their rejection define me. I chose to keep moving forward, to keep building, to keep growing. The most important lesson was this: never let anyone else define your worth. Not your family, not your colleagues, not strangers on the internet. You define your own worth by how you show up every day, how you treat people, and how you handle adversity. Brad Thompson taught me that some people will never be happy for you. They will always see your success as a threat, your happiness as an insult, and you cannot change that. All you can do is wish them well and keep living your life. My family taught me that love is complicated. It is not always fair, not always kind, not always understanding. But it is still love flawed and human. I do not hate them. I just understand them better now. And understanding brings a kind of freedom. I am free to live my life on my own terms, to celebrate my wins, to build relationships with people who genuinely support me. I am free to let go of the need for approval from people who will never give it. This Thanksgiving, I did not sit around a table with my family. I sat in a conference room and closed a $5 million deal. I spent the afternoon alone with a pizza and a football game. And you know what? It was not the Thanksgiving I planned, but it was the one I needed. It taught me resilience. It taught me self-respect. It taught me that sometimes the best revenge is not revenge at all. It is simply living well, succeeding on your own terms, and refusing to let anyone dim your light. So if you are watching this, and you have ever felt excluded, undervalued, or dismissed by the people who are supposed to love you most, I want you to know something. Your worth is not determined by their opinion. Your success is not diminished by their jealousy. Keep going. Keep building. Keep showing up. The right people will see you. The right people will celebrate you. And the wrong people, they will eventually fade into the background where they belong. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been excluded from a family event or made to feel like your success was a problem? How did you handle it? Drop your story in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Your support means everything and helps us keep bringing you real stories about real life. Thank you for watching, and I hope you find your own kind of peace this holiday season. Wherever you are and whoever you are with, you deserve it.